Hi, readers. It's Lori. Welcome back. I am getting back in the groove. I got my coffee this morning, and I have a topic to bring forward to you today, a bookish related topic, which is what is on my Kindle Unlimited shelf. I recently subscribed for a trial period of time to Kindle Unlimited, and if you're not familiar, this is a subscription service. I think it's about $8 or $9, $10 a month, something like that. But you can download anything from Amazon Kindle Unlimited that is available to you at that time. And so I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason to what gets put on Kindle Unlimited, but it does seem to change now and again. So, I'm just kind of trying to figure this out. Today, I thought I would show you what I had already. This is my iPad. I got a new iPad cover, which is beautiful to me. Look, it kind of matches my outfit today. And it doesn't stand up like the one I had. The one I had was getting really old. And so it doesn't stand up. It does, here's my screen. It does have a pencil holder, but it doesn't have the same oomph to it. If you can see, it just kind of stands up like I don't know, like a low pillow. So let's get going from the order in which I first started downloading Kindle Unlimited to today. Let's see how many I have. I haven't even counted them. So the first one is His and Hers by Alice Feeney. Alice Feeney is a favorite author of mine. I have read almost all of her work, except I think for His and Hers. So hence the reason that I decided to download it. So His and Hers is set in Blackdown, England, a small town. I love settings that are small towns in England. And Anna is a news reporter who is starting to discover that she might need to cover this murder case. And Jack Harper is a detective who is investigating, and he has some suspicion, I guess, about Anna. And then Jack also is kind of a suspect in this case. So it does sound like a psychological thriller, murder mystery combo, which Alice Feeney is good at a number of things. I would say this one is a little bit of a departure from some of hers, but I feel like this might remind me of I Know Who You Are. I love the cover of this. It looks really twisty and woody. It's like a tree trunk twist. I don't know. It's weird, but I like it. The next one I downloaded is The Good Lie by A.R. Torre. Torre? I've never read anything by this author. The reason this one really compelled me is because it is a serial killer murder mystery. Gwen Moore is a kind of a psychiatrist, and there are 6 teenagers that are dead, and they are trying to discover who murdered them. I think they have a suspect, but there might be, I don't know, some other information that is available to her that would suggest that perhaps this person is not the killer, but she does kind of a profiling on this serial killer, and it reminds me of Silence of the Lambs, and it sounds really great. And this would be a first time read for this author for me. The Good Samaritan by John Marrs. John Marrs is an author that's on my radar because my daughter read one of his novels and really enjoyed it. This one is creepy, and I'm not sure that I want to read this one, to be honest, but this follows a woman whose name is, let me look because I can't remember, Laura. You would think I could remember that. Maybe I'm blocking it because it's so horrifying. And she listens, she's like on some sort of a suicide helpline. And she is supposed to talk people into kind of a choice that would allow them to live a happier life and to get the help and support that they need. And she actually does the opposite, which is to sort of encourage them to give in and end their lives, I think. I know it sounds really disturbing, and I don't know about this one. I don't know that I don't know. But the good thing about Kindle Unlimited is it doesn't matter if I do or don't. I can always just let it go. The Family Next Door by Sally Hepworth. I read a Sally Hepworth earlier in the year that replaced my 5-star prediction that I DNF'd. And it wasn't 5 stars for me, but it was a solid 4. And I did at that time kind of want to look at some other Sally Hepworth novels. I think they're all set in Australia where she is located, and they're all kind of small town. People say they remind them of Leanne Moriarty. I think that might be somewhat true for me reading The Soulmate, but I'm curious about her as an author, and The Family Next Door was available on Kindle Unlimited, so I picked it up. So Isabel Hetherington is new to this neighborhood. You know, a lot, Sherry Lapina does neighborhood mysteries too. A lot of people do, but she meets these other women who are not new to the neighborhood, and she learns all about them and their kind of most intimate secrets. Apparently, she's very trustable and likable, and then their secrets start to be revealed. So it sounds like everything begins to kind of fall apart, and I'm down for that. It sounds really cruel, but I'm down for that to read. I'm not down for that in real life. The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum, who is also a new author to me. This book, the synopsis of this book is so great. I'm going to take a moment to look it up and then read it to you. I think it's great anyway. Okay, so suburbia, shady tree-lined streets, well-tended lawns, and cozy homes. That's my neighborhood, I'm sure. A nice, quiet place to grow up, unless you are teenage Meg or her crippled sister Susan. On a dead-end street in the dark, damp basement of the Chandler house, Meg and Susan are left captive to the savage whims and rages of a distant aunt who is rapidly descending into madness. I love me some madness. Again, not for me, but for other reading purposes, not in real life. It is a madness that infects all 3 of her sons and finally the entire neighborhood. Only one troubled boy stands hesitantly between Meg and Susan and their cruel, torturous deaths, a boy with a very adult decision to make. Yeah, I think that sounds fantastic. Again, I feel a little bit like you're judging me for being a crazy person right now, and I would be judging myself too. Okay, I talked about this book in one of my other videos because I've already read it, and it is one of my, in my memory, one of my favorite by this author. But it's been a while, and I want to revisit it. And what better way to do that and not buy it yet? Because this is one of the only ones by him that I don't own until I kind of am solidly remembering if it is as good as I remember it was the first time, and that is A Density of Souls by Christopher Rice. This is a kind of a dark academia novel set in New Orleans. It follows, let's see, Greg, Meredith, Brandon, and Stephen, who are really good friends. But when they go to high school, I think it is, or college, 3 of them gain like sort of this following of friends, and they're really having a wonderful experience and they love it, and Stephen doesn't, and so his soul really just kind of shifts and changes, and some heartbreak, I remember, ensues. I don't want to tell you too much about this, but it is a I love novels about groups of friends as long as they're done well, and in my memory this one was done very, very well. I have The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont in here. I will say, though, that I actually own a physical copy of this book. I bought it a couple of years ago when it first came out. I struggled to get into it. I got about maybe a third of the way in and just wasn't kind of feeling it at that time. But it didn't mean that I didn't want to read it again. I thought if I picked it up on Kindle, I might read it faster, because I actually am a pretty fast Kindle reader. Once I get into the groove, I have to be in the groove. And I'm not sure what that groove is. It's some kind of magical voodoo dance I have to do in my head. I don't know. But if I were to get into the groove, I feel like this would be the best way for me to get through that novel. The Christie Affair is a fictional account of what might have happened during the period of time that Agatha Christie left, just disappeared, and there were speculations about what had happened to her, and police were investigating and looking for her. Her husband was looking for her. All sorts of people were concerned about her welfare and her well-being. And then she just kind of came back. And as far as I know, never told anyone where she had gone during that period of time. Meanwhile, there's another perspective in this novel that would suggest that there was a woman that was having an affair with her husband. And so it kind of has both of their stories intertwined. And yeah, I mean, why am I not finishing this? I have no idea. I really don't. I have no idea. Okay, The Perfect Marriage by Geneva. Don't let me tell you this wrong. Rose. A lot of people talked about this. Uh, It's set in DC. I love DC. I'm headed there in September. So if I'm still a Kindle Unlimited subscriber in September, that might be fun. This main character, Sarah and Adam, are married. Sarah is a defense attorney in DC, and her husband is kind of growing weary of her. So he has an affair with a woman named, I think it's Kelly. Yeah, I think it's Kelly. And he's having an affair with Kelly for, I guess, some time. And then Kelly is found murdered in their second home. And Adam, of course, is the suspect because they discover pretty quickly on that he's having an affair. I don't know if Sarah ends up defending him, but that would be quite, I think it would be quite unethical, but she may be a part of the team. Anyway, it sounds great to me. It sounds like I would get through it fast, especially on a flight, because I do read a lot of Kindle well on a flight because I have nothing else to distract me except maybe some unruly babies at times and sometimes some talkative passengers. But when you put your head into a Kindle on a plane, nobody bothers you. Okay, Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulek. I think that's it. Has been on my radar for a bit, and I know a lot of people love this. They say that Rekulek's books are, I hope I'm saying that right, are for fans of Riley Sager. They're a little bit supernatural in their telling, I guess, but Hidden Pictures. Oh, this premise too. Mallory is babysitting. She's a teenager. She's so excited. She gets to meet and babysit for this boy, Teddy, who I think is around 5 or 6 years old. And at first, everything's going great. And she just loves this gig and she's getting paid well. And Teddy is a drawing person. So he's coloring and drawing all the time. And then one day he draws a picture of a man dragging a woman's body, dead body, clearly through the woods. And of course, she's upset and disturbed by this. And I think she tries to discover, like, maybe what happened. I'm not sure. I don't want to know. I just think that premise is enough for me to say, oh my God, bring it on. A Jennifer Hillier that I haven't read, and I certainly haven't read all of hers. I've only read a few, and I'm kind of hit and miss with Jennifer Hillier, but Wonderland, the cover alone, at least the version that I'm showing you, is worth everything to me. Creepy clowns, carnival, nighttime, house of horrors, clown museum, and a murdered body in the middle of this carnival setting. And so Detective Vanessa Castro, I think, is I think she's very new, as I remember reading in the synopsis, like it's maybe her first week on the job or something. And she is tasked with solving this crime. And that's all I want to know, but bring on the creep, which actually is a title of one of her other novels. But yeah, Wonderland just sounds like a perfect summer read too, right? Because summer carnivals, yeah, I know. After I finished No Two Persons by Erica Bauermeister, many of you and other bookish friends of mine suggested that I needed to take a look at The Scent Keeper. And it had actually been on my Goodreads to read shelf since 2019. So clearly I had taken a look at this before, but never picked it up. So it's available on Kindle Unlimited, at least at the moment. And this one is very different. It's not a thriller. All of these, have a thriller aspect to them, right? Almost every one. But this one, I think, is a nice kind of departure from that. So it'll be a nice palate cleanser when I've had too many thrillers. It follows a girl who grows up in this home, and her father has this kind of mysterious cabinet of scents. And he's really kind of teaching her about, I think, about nature and about where scents come from and about the beauty of that. And for some reason or another, I think she gets kind of disconnected from her dad. I'm not really sure what happens. I don't really need to know. Then she's kind of tossed out on her own and is faced with kind of, I guess, surviving and thriving in the world. It I again, I don't know a whole lot about it, but if it's anything like No Two Persons was, I'm going to love it. We're getting to the end. The last one I'm going to talk about today is The One by John Mars. So this is my second John Mars choice after getting this subscription. This one is on my list because Megan, my daughter, read this and really wondered what I thought of it, thought it was a clever premise, and I think it is. It is an experiment, which apparently he does a lot of kind of speculative fiction, maybe a little bit of dystopian stuff here, but yeah, but this one I think is maybe just speculative. But the sense of it I'm getting is that if you want to be matched with that one person that is right for you, like on these dating apps where they really try to do this from a number of other perspectives, this one actually does a DNA swab. And somehow there's this testing that they've done or this research or experiment that they're doing to see if this is a good way of deciding or figuring out who would be that one best mate for you. But if it's not, apparently something goes awry, something doesn't work out. So if you say no, this isn't my person, I think there's a punishment for that, if I'm understanding Megan's synopsis of this correctly. She may have even talked about it in another video that we did together, but it's been in my thoughts since she mentioned it to me. So I marked it to read a while ago. And then when I saw that it was available on Kindle Unlimited, I thought, oh, this would be perfect. Okay, those are the ones that I've chosen in my little time on Kindle Unlimited. And I have to admit, those are a lot. And most of them are popcorn thrillers. I'm certain of it. I don't imagine myself reading 7 popcorn thrillers in a row, certainly, but I do love them. And I love them as a palate cleanser for something that I've read that was very kind of deep and moving and maybe a chunkier read, just something to kind of go through quickly. And again, when I do get in the Kindle groove, I am very quick to finish those books. I have been reading more on my Kindle this year so far. I, again, am always curious about whether you've read these, whether they're on your want to read list, and whether you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription as well. And if so, tell me what your favorite Kindle Unlimited read has been thus far. I know several of you do read via Kindle Unlimited, and I always notice when I go in kind of who's marked it to read or who's currently reading it or who's who's not. But sometimes I don't know what your Goodreads names are. That brings up another request. If you're willing to follow me on Goodreads, that would be a lot of fun. I think my link to Goodreads is in the description below, but if it's not, I'll put it in there. And I would love to follow you there and just see what you're reading, because I do often look at what other people are reading. And happy Kindle Unlimited reading for those of you who have that service. And if you just read on a regular Kindle and you purchase them, happy Kindle reading altogether. Thanks for watching. Bye.